You know what I realize is incredibly dangerous about single parenting?
So yeah, everything she said in that video, if you watch the full video, you'll know that she mentioned single parents, or if you were a part of a household with two parents and only one parent had a voice, you'll know she not like just shitting on single parents. But yeah, everything she said in that video, and I'm speaking from a person who was raised by a single parent, and then a person who has a parent that is helping me parent my children. How what she says makes a whole lot of sense, and not only in a sense of like just a nuclear family, a community, a tribe, a village as a whole. It is dangerous when you only have one voice and you only have one perspective, and you're raising children and you're trying to raise children to be well balanced. Because I always tell people that I am so glad that I'm not doing this by myself. Um and I have my husband here, and he's an active parent. He's not just one of those, I'm gonna go to work and then you deal with everything else. Very present, very active. I can't count on my hands or my feet how many times our children have come to either one of us and basically like wasn't feeling what the other parent told them, and we handled it correctly. When I mean correctly is like, okay, when our children came to either one of us, we first, of course, we didn't like go against what the other parent said or diminish what the other parent said from their perspective. We always explain to our children, this is why your mom or your dad said this or feel this way, because this is the perspective where they're coming from. And I understand your perspective. And we would talk to each other, and we would go back to our children and explain to them, okay, this is why I said this, but I didn't see it from where you may be feeling it from, or where your dad may be understanding it from, and vice versa. And I feel like that's why we've so far raised very amazing kids, because I always say it's a lot of stuff that my kids did that if I was just a single mom, they would not have experienced, because my fear and my trauma from my childhood would have stopped it. And it's the same thing from my husband's perspective. I remember when my kids were really little, and my husband used to always like every holiday he would over buy things, because again he was coming from his childhood feeling like he had to give his children everything and more, because that's not a perspective where he came from. So, and I would always be like, they don't need this. And lo and behold, he would buy something and the kids wouldn't be even be checking for it a week later. And then after a while, he realized the balance. But it took a couple of years to be like, you know what, babe, like you're doing too much. They don't need it. And then like even with certain things like for example, sleepovers. I'm very again trauma. But that was not my husband's experience. So he was able to let me see a whole nother perspective, and my children were able to experience going to their friend's house and doing sleepovers. Of course, there were a lot of steps before then. Again, one based off of my own trauma, and two based off of the world we live in. But had I been a single parent, that would have been a hard no, versus with my husband, it wasn't.